Hey there everyone, this is Seb with another vlog thingy, because yeah, it's the next week, it's the next video. Well, this time around at least, I am nicely on time, well almost, a day late only. But yeah, how are you guys doing? I hope all is well. For me, I am doing pretty good, feeling much more positive. Doesn't mean that I'm more energetic yet, that is unfortunately going to take some more time, I'm afraid. However, I do feel that I am at least more clear in the head again. Not sure if that's the B12 working, but yeah, it does help my concentration so far, so that's awesome. Having said that, I've already been to an appointment where they were looking me up and they were saying, yeah, you've got an appointment, alright, but it's for next week. So, you know, I'm still scatterbrained kinda, although it's been a while since I wrote that down, so that's my excuse. At least I wrote down the time, okay. Oh man, that's not even the first time something like that happened to me, but it's just how I am. But yeah, overall, so I'm doing much more better, picking up a bit of a routine when it comes to some exercising, so that's good, and yeah, slowly we're getting there, I think. But we'll see, at least I'm way more positive again, which is awesome. Now I do want to dedicate this video a bit out to nostalgia when it comes to computing, but that for just a moment, because first I want to address something, because I've gotten some messages from people concerned about the Let's All Play in the Battle of Olympus project, the whole voice acting thing. When is that coming out? Well, it's going well, guys, actually. Some people are still recording their lines, and I'm waiting on those, because yeah, there's still some lines from the first video actually, although it's only I think 2 or 3 lines from the first video, but yeah, there's still some lines on the first video that need to come in. I've actually chased down some people over the weekend asking when they can have it finished, and the response to that was really great as well. We're nearly there, there's only like 4 or 5 people still recording some lines, and then we're done and I can actually produce some videos. I am sorry that it's taking so long, but I never really set a deadline, and that's my fault, it's all my bad, and I've learned a lot over the past few months on how to actually do this. Now I'm not disappointed that it's taking so long, because I wanted to really leave it a bit open-ended and just give people time to do it, and just give a chance to have fun with the project, you know, and have as many people as possible in on it. But yeah, maybe I should have noted the deadline so people would actually know where they were getting themselves into. But yeah, you know, live and learn. In that regard, I also learned to not trust the YouTube messaging system, because it's a piece of crap. Basically, if you ever want to send a PM through YouTube, the person needs to have an actual YouTube channel. What I mean is, I don't know how this works exactly, but I think it has something to do with being tied to Google+. I don't know, it's a crappy system, but for some channels you do not have the ability to PM them, because there is no about page. Also, if you do send a PM, don't put any links in it, because it will be spam. Yeah, just go with it. And also, if you copy something into your message field, it'll be spam, obviously, right? Yeah. Which is very annoying, because I like to always type my message first in Word, so that I have a comprehensive spelling check, and then copy it over into an actual message box, which is not done on YouTube. It just gets sent to the YouTube purgatory, and then people need to actually go to their message spam box. And you know, finding the normal message box on YouTube nowadays is hard enough as it is. So, you know, it's a piece of crap, don't use it next time, just stick to social media and email. Lesson learned, Seb. But yeah, that added some unneedly, yeah, English, not my language, eh? Unneeded extra delay. There we go, Seb, it's not that hard. But yeah, it's almost done, only a couple of more lines, so, you know, look forward to that, hopefully next month. And yeah, looking forward to it very much, because it's gonna be awesome, I think. So far, from what I've been checking on how it's going to turn out, it's going to be great, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will really love it. Which also opens the possibility for future projects in that regards, and seeing how it's turning out, I do think I want to do that. So, if you have any suggestions on projects like this to cover, then do leave me suggestions down in the comments below. We'll see what we can do. Now, please keep in mind that we want to gradually make the projects bigger. Like, let's not go from a small hobble to the Mount Everest and say, oh, the next project should totally be Final Fantasy VI, because obviously that would be awesome, but that game is a bit big. So, do keep that in mind. I am totally okay with doing RPGs down the line, but yeah, the bigger they are, the harder it is, and I need to grow into these kind of things, I find. But yeah, one complaint I have heard from a lot of people is that, well, not so much a complaint, just a bit more disappointment really, where there's just a few lines to actually fill, especially for the males. Like the few females who help out, who are totally awesome, and we should totally respect their work, because they had a lot of work, let me tell you. They had a lot of lines. But for the males, I got such positive feedback and so many people signing up that I just couldn't give everyone a lot of lines, which is a shame. So some recurring characters would be cool in future products as well. But yeah, enough about that, because I actually wanted to dedicate this video to some computing nostalgia. Now, I want to actually complain about a PC piece not arriving in the mail, but as I was setting up things here to record the video, ding dong, rushed to the downstairs door, and yeah, that was actually my final piece here, the memory modules. So I can actually put together my PC now and actually make some more videos in a more efficient way without it crashing all the time, because I had named that it crashed a couple of times and it was getting crap, so obviously it'll crap out even more, where it actually even crashes now on YouTube videos watching. Go figure, something about Murphy's Law, I suppose. So yeah, I'm gonna put that together and transfer everything. It's gonna take some time. I always hate to do that, back everything up and transfer everything over. And yeah, I'm gonna prepare my old PC for my mother, so she has a bit of an upgrade as well. And yeah, then I can actually record some more stuff. And the first thing I'm gonna record, I promise, is gonna be CDI, because it's been way too long. It is really about time. Especially with a new PC, it's going to be much more pleasant to actually edit things, because especially video scenes you've captured are really tough to actually edit together, because everything is HD. It takes quite some processing power, and you can't just zip through the file, and it all takes way too long to load, and was very annoying and pain in the ass. So hopefully they'll get better. And I've been recording or processing mostly on 720p, which I think, I still stand by this. I think that is more than enough for YouTube purposes. However, some people think differently, and with the new hardware it shouldn't matter too much if I bump it up to 1080p, so I might as well for those who want it. So there's that if you're really looking forward to that. As I said, I think 720p is more than enough, but whatever. But yeah, also as I was thinking to putting it together and installing Windows and such, I got a bit of thinking about how this was in the past, because nowadays it's kind of easy and not as involved anymore. But back in the day it was more fun. I actually used to do this a lot for family and friends and stuff, and loved installing my Windows and some DOS. Before Windows there was DOS and actual custom menus and such, and it was a lot of fun to deal with that. And just thinking about it made me a bit nostalgia on actually how I went about and got into computing. So I figured, it's a nice topic to talk about, and I'm also curious how you think about it, of course, as well. And I've always been, for the most part, a PC DOS Windows guy. Interestingly enough, though, that is not where I started at all, which is kind of funny. Well, first of all, I started on my first introduction to computing was the Commodore 64, as many already know. My parents had that, and it was basically a game box for us. There was no productivity on it as at all. We did not have a printer. We didn't do much with it apart from play games. Though I did have my introduction to BASIC on there, which was cool. You know, we had a few books on how to program on the thing, and it was cool. But mostly it was a gaming computer there with tapes. Most of our games were on tapes because they were cheaper. But they cost a lot of time, let me tell you, because a tape, if you don't know, loading times of a game were like 15 minutes. Yeah, 50 minutes, and then you had games like The Hunt for Red October, which was really hard, and then you would die and said, okay, so load again, and you had to rewind and load again, and it was a pain in the ass. Sucked. So, you know, you don't hear me complaining as fast about long loading times because it was kind of normal. It also kind of sucked because if you bumped into the table where the thing was on, it might read something wrongly and you had to start over again. But yeah, the first actual computer I got introduced to, well, Commodore 64 was an actual computer, I suppose, but, you know, a more sophisticated computer, which is also a joke nowadays, of course, was a Macintosh at school. I think it was like in 4th or 5th grade, where for some odd reason only that class had one of those Macintosh. I think it was a Mac SE or maybe even a Mac SE 30. Don't know exactly anymore. I do know that it had an internal hard drive. I do know it had a monochromatic screen, and I do know it was pretty damn awesome. It was the first time I got introduced to a WYSIWYG user interface. Not WYSIWYG user interface, just a graphical user interface. That's what I wanted to say. So, you know, you could use the mouse and click on things, and it was awesome. Now, I do know the Commodore 64 also had programs that emulated that from like the Amiga later, and Windows, and that kind of stuff. So, the Commodore 64 also had that, and I never owned any of that software myself. A friend of mine did, and let me tell you, it was crap. It sucked. Commodore 64 was not meant for that. But the Mac, obviously it was, and it was really fluent. It was fast, it was awesome, you could do a lot of things with it. There was a paint program which was awesome. Instead of colors you had like patterns, and it was cool. It was not just blocks, it was actual lines and stuff. It was cool. And games, so you know, every break we had, Seb was in the corner sitting at the Mac and playing games together with a couple of other kids, and it was cool. And two in particular I remember as being really awesome, and two of my favorites. And I hope I can remember the names right, because it's been so long. I should really look if I can emulate this stuff and play it again sometimes for a nice nostalgia rush. But the first was, I think it was called Bricks, which was a Breakout clone. Now I had other Breakout clones as well, like on the Commodore 64. I loved Betty. I did a video on it once, so if you want to know what that is, then check it out. But Betty was more of a Arkanoid clone, and Bricks is more of a traditional Breakout clone. And it had a lot of different options to customize the game. I remember you could set the pedal size, for example, the block size, if I remember correctly. You could also have multiple pedals, like one on the top and on the bottom and on the sides, and that made the game much more complex, and it was just really cool to play around with those options and have different game variations. It was cool. Another game which was my absolute favorite, loved that game. I think it was called Crystal Quest, is that right? Does that ring a bell with anyone? And it basically was, you were like a sort of spaceship, you were going around the place and hunting down some crystals, and once you had all the crystals, the door would open, you go to the next level. Now, of course, it wasn't that easy because out popped a lot of baddies to make your life miserable. And there was a lot of variety in how those baddies worked, and they could be a real pain in the ass, and they could fill up the screen, you could shoot them, and it was awesome. It was kind of a bit like Robotron, I guess. Makes the most sense. It was really awesome. Never played that game since. I really should hook that one up sometime. So yeah, that was really cool. That was my real introduction to basically a user interface on a computer, and it was awesome. And then I progressed on the school more, and it was school for the visually impaired. And note that I don't say the blind, because if you were going blind as a kid there, then you were kicked out, because yeah, it was not very nice. But yeah, I digress. That's for another topic. But yeah, so they figured that computing was the future for these kids, and they were totally right. So they would have in a very early state where there were very little computers still on schools. This school already had them to prepare these kids best for the future, which was really cool. I'm very happy that they did it. Now, that school was pretty crappy otherwise, but this was one particular thing that I really loved about that school, and that's just the early introduction of the computing thing. So they gave us lessons in MS-DOS and WordPerfect, and this was really, really weird for me because I was used to this Mac, and it was awesome, and you had also the word processor, and you know, it was here this word comes into play. It was a WYSIWYG program. What you see is what you get. So if you would make text bold, it was bold on the screen. And then we got introduced to the actual computing lessons, and we got to these big, huge machines, the old 286 and the 386. And these were supposed to be more advanced and more fast and awesome, and they were DOS, and we got introduced to WordPerfect 5.1, I think it was. And well, it's so advanced, and why is my bold text yellow, and why does my italics text not slam to the side, but why is there a blue background around it? It just seemed very weird. But yeah, I love working with this stuff, and I learned a lot there on how to use MS-DOS, and it was such an awesome time in that regard. And there was most of my DOS gaming was done there as well. Because, you know, break time was to go outside or to play video games on the PCs there. Guess which one I would take. I was a very lazy kid. Though I also went outside because, you know, outside is the snacks. But yeah. Then of course there came a time where Windows 3.1 was introduced, and we got at home a 486. And that had 3.1, and it was my mother's, and I wasn't allowed to play so many games on there because, you know, game broke the PC. Everyone from my generation knows how that goes. Even this generation still has to deal with that, I suppose, where parents are telling their kids to not play games because they break my PC. Yeah, so not as many games at home, but it was okay because, you know, it was most of my waking time at school anyway, and that's where the games were. But my mother did give me a lot of like books on how to learn how to use Windows, and I ate those books up, which was quite surprising for my mother because usually I hated reading. I detested reading, but these books, they were awesome. So, you know, it was kind of a win-win situation there. I would learn something, I would actually read, and my mother was happy too, because I was actually reading something. And that's where I learned how to use Windows and such, and yeah, 3.1 was awesome. And in later schoolings, because I do have a IT background as well, in which I actually learned how to operate Windows there was 4, right? Yeah, for the NT thing. Was awesome. Forgot most of it because, and even though it was awesome, you could do a lot of stuff with it. It's all so outdated now that, yeah, although some, oh no, I don't think companies actually use that anymore because support has actually stopped, but yeah, probably somewhere you can still find it. I think I was actually in the final exam group to do the exam on NT. Also had Windows 2000, which was really awesome, and XP. Also experimented a bit with ME because some family and friends actually got computers with ME. They are no longer my friends and family anymore. Oh man, that was an actual piece of crap. And Windows XP came around, it was awesome, and stuck around with it very long. And then 7 came around and it was even awesomer. And yeah, but as I gradually went on and on, I didn't keep my knowledge up to date anymore. Actually dabbled a bit in Linux as well, but forgot most of that as well. Same for the programming languages. Like I had my introduction in BASIC, kind of went over to QBasic, I think it was called. Later on did some C++ and Java, and it was all cool, but never did anything with it. And now it's been so long that I completely forgot most of it. I can probably still read it a bit, but that's about it. And with reading, I mean understand kind of the flow of things. But yeah. And yeah, now if someone comes to me and asks me how do I do that in Windows 10, then I have no clue, because I've never touched Windows 10. I love Windows 7, so I don't plan on upgrading anytime soon. Same for Windows 8. I actually did touch it a couple of times and I didn't like it, so never tried it again. So, you know, that's my kind of road through for my nostalgia on computing. It was yeah, I loved the MS-DOS days, but interesting enough, it's not where I started. I started actually on a Mac, and interesting enough, I also have no clue how to actually work on a Macintosh nowadays. The Apple stuff, I have no clue. I'm too poor for Apple. And a lot of people around me do have iPhones and such, and sometimes they ask me how do I do that, and I don't know. I have no clue. It's kind of a different beast than an Android. But yeah, a lot of people for some reason still have iPhones because, well, it's not for some reasons, because the National Organization for the Blind gives out budgets to actually get a phone, and for some stupid reason they still have this notion that only iPhones are accessible. I think that's bullshit, because Androids nowadays are just as much accessible, and I really find it very unfair, because, you know, they could help twice as many people on an actual mobile device if they were, you know, just going for an Android. But nope, they stick to the iPhone and give quite a bit of money for that. But yeah, and the downside is that eventually when the year progresses, someone asks for the same thing and they, nope, we're done, the money is gone. Wait for next year. So, you know, in that regard, I think it's kind of bullshit. But whatever, I digress way too much. I am sorry, guys. What I really want to know is, what do you guys have for nostalgia stories on computing? Where did you start? What was your first personal computer to really work with? How did you progress? Did you go from one system to the other? Did you taste multiple systems? Or did you always stick with one system when you found your, well, as it were, digital home there? Let me know in the comments down below. It would be interesting to learn that. And yeah, I think that's about it for this video, because it's running quite long. I have no idea how long, I will see that in a bit, but yeah, my PC, the old one, is gonna have fun in rendering this one, I'm pretty sure. Anyway guys, thank you very much as always for watching once again, and I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care, bye bye for now.